Hey everyone, how's it going? I thought I'd do a video on the new Bushnell Air Optics scope that I just received in the mail. This is going to go on my soon-to-be completed DMR build for my Air 15, which I'm really excited for that, so stay tuned. I'll definitely have a video on that once it's all done, and I'll obviously mount this scope onto it. But I thought I'd do a video on this one now because I haven't seen any videos on the new versions of the Air Optics. Bushnell just revamped the entire lineup of AR optics recently within the past year, and all the reviews I saw online, both written and video, were on the old versions. So this particular one is the 3 to 9 times magnification with a 40mm objective lens, and you can see some other quick little points there, waterproof and fully multi-coated lenses. The price, you can see, came in at just over 200 bucks Canadian, and I think that's really good value for a Bushnell product. This price range is kind of what I would consider great value. Obviously you're not getting the super high-end stuff, but it's still going to perform for you really well and be durable enough. So I'm excited to put this on my DMR build and see how it performs. I wanted, again, this magnification is pretty much perfect for what I was looking for. They do offer this in a variety of different magnification options, which I'll talk about in a second, but let's go ahead and open it up first. I do like the box, just, you know, think it looks kind of nice, the presentation of it, and it slips off like so, and we have a card in there, and you kind of get like this box inside a box. Can see that there. Again, really nice packaging. I kind of like that. This is talking about the what they call the throwdown lever. It's just essentially a little handle that folds down that allows you to adjust the magnification easier. And on the other side, this is pretty neat. This shows you the different reticles that the Air optics can come with. They are made for a specific caliber because they do have a bullet drop compensation reticle. This one that I have here is for a 223 caliber, so this reticle here is the one this scope has, and you can see there you'd zero it in at 100 yards and you have increments of 100 yards with the holdovers, which is pretty nice. A little bit faulty if you're not using the right ammo, obviously, but they have them for 22s, and even there's one for 6.5 Creedmoor here and 308. So if this scope can handle the recoil of these larger calibers, 223, 5.56 should be perfectly fine. So it's nice to know that you're getting a robust enough scope for basically any caliber you would buy this for. Open this little thing up here and you get your scope inside, packaged pretty nicely with some foam, some protective plastic over it. You get some little goodies here. Let's see here, small Allen key. This is probably for the turret caps. You do get an extra extended handle for the throwdown lever, a small unbranded microfiber cloth, which is kind of nice to have, and this looks to be a sticker, and that's all for inside the box, so we'll put that aside. Let's take a look at the scope here. Obviously I have not used this scope yet, but this will just kind of go over the main features that I really liked when I was researching which scope to purchase. You can tell right off the bat if the Air optics you have is one of the newer versions of, or the older ones. The newer ones has this kind of machined in logo on the eyepiece, which I think looks pretty sharp, pretty sweet, and also this throwdown lever is not new. I believe the old versions had this lever on the 1 to 4 times magnification version, but now they have incorporated this little lever into all the various magnifications for the entire line of Air optics. So it does feel nice right out of the box. It feels kind of weighty, which I don't mind. My DMR is not going to be that light of a build in general. The scope caps to protect the lenses are attached with only one bungee, which is fine. It keeps them together so they don't get lost as easily. And nice give to them. So some things that are new between this and the older version that I was looking at. The main thing is the parallax adjustment on the left-hand side of the scope. Now you do have a little turret for your parallax adjustment there, and I believe the old ones were set to 100 yards fixed parallax, which honestly, if you're shooting out to even 300 yards, you probably won't even notice much of a difference. But I did want to try this out on a more budget-oriented scope like this at around $200. It'd be interesting to see if the parallax adjustment is really that effective, especially at the longer distances, but only one way to find out. But I do like that they have this incorporated into the scope. It is a really nice feeling knob. It's nice and stiff, so you're not going to bump it by accident, and a very smooth action on the parallax adjustment there. I do like that. Looks to have a bit of threading on the objective lens here, or I guess on the scope body, so you could probably put a sunshade on that. Quick focus eyepiece here with some knurling on it. Again, you get that kind of nice machined out logo or design, and of course you got the Bushnell logo on the side there. This bezel here turns for magnification, of course, and with this new throwdown lever, it's really easy to kind of get good leverage and kind of crank it around really quickly and efficiently to whatever magnification you want. It's nice that it folds out of the way when you're not using it, and if you need to quickly change magnifications, you can just pop it up and go ahead and change it. It is nice and quiet. It is rubberized on the top here, so when it comes down it doesn't smack the scope loudly. And in the box, of course, you do get the extra handle for it. It screws in to the bottom there. Kind of see where it screws in there. And so the new version, or the additional handle is quite a bit longer. I'd say probably by a centimeter or so. So if you want a little bit more leverage, you can throw that on there, but I think the one that comes on this scope is plenty good enough. You could say this is kind of gimmicky, but that being said, I know Vortex sells their little additional rings with a lever handle for like 80 bucks. So the fact that they incorporated that into a $200 scope is kind of nice. Of course, you can always just keep it folded down if you're not using it, and it seems like it does have kind of like a retention in both the up and down positions, so hopefully it doesn't get floppy over time, but again, only time will tell. So and even if you don't use it, you just keep it down. The fact that there's a bump sticking out here kind of already makes it easier to index that bezel, and it does feel pretty nice and smooth, like what you would want. The turrets here are exposed for both windage and elevation. They are marked, as you can see, obviously. Let's go ahead and feel how tactile the clicks are. So it's not bad. There is a very defined click for each different position, which is what you want. It's not as crisp as, say, my Vortex Viper HST, but that's quadruple the price, so it's kind of to be expected. I'd say this is plenty adequate for a $200 scope, and honestly, I like how tight these turrets are. They're quite stiff to turn, which is kind of what you want, so you're not bumping them around by accident. And it does look like there are 1, 2, 3, so 3 set screws on each turret cap. So once you set your 0, you can use the included little Allen key, lift off the cap and turn it without adjusting the turret, obviously, so that you always have your 0 marking set. So that's pretty nice. Got a little Bushnell logo on the side there. And for your windage knob, you have the AR Optics logo, which I think looks kind of sharp. The overall finish on this scope, hopefully you can tell in the lighting, it's kind of like a matte finish. It's not that glossy, which is kind of nice too. And that is basically it for external features. 1-inch diameter body tube, so really easy obviously to find any sort of scope mounts. Now Bushnell doesn't have an AR like cantilever specific mount, at least not the not one I could find. So I'll probably use either the P mounts from Nikon or something else I have yet to decide. So let's talk about the reticle again really quickly. Maybe I'll throw this into 3 times and give you a quick look, see if I can line it up with the camera right. So there you go. And again, you can see the little dots there for the different holdovers essentially. And this is calibrated from Bushnell for a 55 grain 223, which is what I plan to shoot out of this gun. Obviously, if you want to go for super precision, you know, like sub half MOA, A, you'd probably be hand loading, and B, you're probably shooting a much heavier 223 round, probably around 70 grains or so. So you probably look for a different option than this scope, but for what I want to use this DMR build for, I think this really fits the bill. The further away you get from your 100-yard zero, the more chances there are for this reticle to be off and not perfectly on target, just because there's so many different factors that affect your bullet drop, you know, barrel length, humidity, all sorts of stuff. But this is a really good starting point for people that are shooting more, I guess, like steel, other targets like that, and not really going for that super fine precision, which is kind of what I want this DMR build to be for. So good starting point again. Interesting to see how it performs when I try and use it. And another note is that this scope is a second focal plane scope. So that reticle, the I believe they call it the drop zone reticle or DZ reticle, is only going to be its most accurate in the highest magnification setting, just because the reticle does not change with the magnification. It's only designed to be used, in this case, in the 9 times magnification setting. If you have you know, a different AR optic scope, you have to use the highest magnification setting to use the reticle properly. So just keep that in mind if you're shooting at, you know, 200 or 300 yards, for instance. You can't have this thing in 6 times power and expect to use the reticle properly. It just won't work. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the different options you have with the AR Optics lineup. They offer this thing in, again, a wide array of different magnifications, 1 to 4 times, 2 to 7, 3 to 9, 3 to 12, and 4.5 to 18. Those are the ones I memorized off the top of my head. There could be more, but again, you have a wide plethora to choose from, which I think is really nice and kind of really fine-tune what you want. I went ahead for the 3 to 9 times because I'm shooting more static targets, steel and stuff like that, so field of view isn't as important to keep, but I didn't want something that was super aggressive either. So that is basically it. I think this is going to be a really promising value-oriented scope, so I'm really excited to get to use this new Bushnell AR Optics. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Hopefully you learned something today, and thanks for watching. See you guys later.